Okay, here we are, quarter 3, week 8, day 1. We are to solve these two math problems. One of them is subtraction, one is addition, and there is a decimal in most of them. Okay, with this one here, the assumed decimal would be right there. All right, so I went ahead and lined up the decimals already. So over here, we have the subtraction problem. We're going to have to add a couple of zeros here, which means we're definitely going to be doing some borrowing, right? So we cannot take 9 away from 0, so we're going to have to borrow from this 0, which we can't. So we need to borrow from this 0, which we can't. But we can borrow from this 9 and make it an 8. All right, so then that makes this 0 a 10, but we're going to borrow from it and make it a 9. And that makes this one a 10, which but we're going to borrow from that one and make that a 9. And then this actually becomes a 10. So we have 10 minus 9 is 1. 9 minus 2 is 7. 9 minus 8 is 1. 8 minus 7 is 1. 4 minus 4 is 0. And then 8 minus nothing, 2 minus nothing. There we go. We just bring down the decimal right here where it is because we lined up the decimals. And there's our answer. We'll come over 3 places, put our comma. 28,011.71. Okay. So then we're going to come over here to, I'm going to change the color this time just to make it a little easier to see. We'll go ahead and add the zeros in there, but it's no big deal because we're actually adding. So we don't have to do any borrowing in this situation. So we have 9 plus 0 is 9. 2 plus 0 is 2. 2 plus 0 is 2. 8 plus 0 is 8. 9 plus 1 is 10. Carry the 1. 3 plus 1 is 4. And an 8. Bring down the decimal, come over 3 places, put our comma. So the answer for this one is 8,408.229. Okay, that's the answer to both of those problems. Fill in the blank. Okay, we have a ratio. We have pounds to ounces. So we want to know how many ounces would be the exact same amount as 5.5 pounds. Well, right down here, I showed you that 1 pound is the same as 16 ounces. So we want to go from 1 pound to 5.5 pounds. Okay, so how would we get from 1 to 5.5? Okay, sometimes you say add something or something like that. Remember, if we are scaling, always has to be multiplication or division. So we're going to have to multiply by 5.5. All right, so let's do that. So if we take 16 and we multiply that by 5.5, that's going to give us 88. So the answer right here would be 88 ounces. 88 ounces is the same as 5.5 pounds. What is the value of 7x squared minus 10 when x equals 6? So all we're going to do is take the 6 and put it in for x. All right, so that is rewritten right here. So we have 7 times 6 squared, right, because we put the 6 in for x, minus 10. Well, the first thing we're going to have to do is the 6 squared. So is that 6 times 2? No, that is 6 times 6, which is 36. So we're going to rewrite this 7 times 36 minus 10. Again, we have to follow order of operations. So we don't have any parentheses other than the 36. So that's already finished. There are no exponents anymore. We took care of that. So now we look at if they're multiplication or division. Yes, there is right here. So we're going to have to do 36 times 7. 36 times 7 is 252 minus 10. All right, the only thing we have to do now is take 10 away from 252, and we end up with 242. So what is the value of 7x squared minus 10 if x equals 6? The answer is 242. List 3 values that would make this inequality true. All right, so let's look. On this side, we have a y and a negative 30. We have to get the y by itself. So if you have a negative 30 or a debt of 30, how would you get out of that debt? Well, you would add 30 to both sides. So let's do this. We're going to add 30 on this side and add 30 on this side of the inequality. A positive 30 and a negative 30, yep, that becomes nothing. So the only thing left on this side is y. Then we have the less than sign. And then we have 43 minus 30. So, of course, 43 minus 30 is 13. So it says 13 is less than y. I also like to write it so the variable is always first. So I'm going to put y is and then change the direction of this inequality sign because it has to stay the same as far as the direction towards the variable. So y is greater than 13. Okay, so basically, can it be exactly 13? No, it does not have that little equal sign, so we cannot do that. Y is greater than 13, which means it could be 14, it could be 15, it could be a billion, it could be any large number, as long as it is 14 or higher. So I'm just going to put 17 and 22. I don't know. So it has to be 14 or bigger, as long as you put three numbers that are larger than 14, or 14 or larger, then that would be a correct answer. Find the rule, solve for n. So we have these numbers on this side that are representing x. So we are doing something with 5, and then it's going to result in the number 20. And then something with 6, and it's going to result in 24. So can you solve the rule? What is the rule? What is happening each time to the number in the x column to make the number in the y column? All right, I think I figured it out too. So 5 times 4 is 20. Let's see if that works for all the rest of these. 6 times 4, yep, that's 24. 10 times 4, yep, that's 40. So I think we know the rule is times 4. So the rule is going to be y is going to be equal to whatever x is times 4. So I'm just going to put 4x. Okay, you can put 4 times x, you can put 4 and then x in parentheses. There's a million ways you can write that, but that's the simplest. 4x means 4 times x is going to equal y. And then to solve for n equals, so what number times 4 will give you 32? Well, the answer is 8, right? 8 times 4 is 32. So the rule is y equals 4 times x, and n equals 8. All right, we're going to find the volume of this square prism, or actually rectangular prism. Okay, the volume is how many tiny little three-dimensional boxes that are 1 by 1 by 1 inch. Okay, so they're three-dimensional. Let's see if I can kind of make that. So anyway, so it's volume. So it's going to be in inches cubed. All right, so let's do this. We do have 4.5 times 8 times 5.5. This volume is length times width times height. So we got to change these mixed numbers into improper fractions. To do that, we're going to do 4 times 2, which is 8, plus 1, which is 9. So this becomes 9 over 2. 8 just becomes 8 over 1. For the 5.5, it's going to be 5 times 2, which is 10, plus 1 more is 11. So it's going to be 11 over 2. So that's how you change mixed numbers into improper fractions. Is there any cross-reducing that we can do to kind of make life a little bit easier? Yeah, we could take one of the 2's in the denominator. I guess we could just do this one. Because 2 and 8 are both even. So 2 goes into 2 once. 2 goes into 8 4 times. All right. Is there anything else we can reduce? 9 over 1 we can't. 4 over 1 we can't. 11 over 2? Nope. And then we can't cross-reduce. So let's just go ahead and multiply across. All right, so it's going to be 9 times 4, which is 36, times 11, which is 396. And then on the bottom, we have 1 times 1 times 2, which is just 2. So we can take 396 divided by 2, or just whatever 396 is cut in half. That will be our answer. So it's going to be 198 over 1, which is, of course, just 198. So it's going to be in inches. We are finding the volume. So is that inches squared, just regular straight inches? No, it is inches cubed. Okay, so there is our answer, 198 inches cubed. Okay, that's all there is for that one. All right, so here's our new concept. We're looking at a scatter plot, okay, which has an axis down here, which is typically called the x-axis, and then up and down is called the y-axis. Okay, so we're comparing days. Okay, this is kind of length of time and the weight. Okay, days and weight of what? Well, let's find out. The scatter plot shows how much a puppy weighs. Okay, so when you have a doggy and you get him as a puppy, sometimes they grow really fast. So a puppy weighs within a certain time period. Here's the scatter plot. Okay, so if we look at this, our puppy in 5 days, I don't think we must have had the puppy because we don't know how much it weighed at that point. And then in 10 days, the puppy weighed about 4.5 pounds. Okay, so and then in 15 days, so 5 days later, wow, let's look at this. It's kind of looking like it's weighing right around there for the most part, which is about 5 pounds. Okay, and then 5 days later, we kind of come up and see it's right around here. So 5.5 pounds. And in 25 days, so less than a month, okay, it's now right there, which is about 6 pounds if we brought that out, right? Okay, so let's read the questions and see what we need to answer. It says, what is the correlation between days and weight? All right, so what that means is when you're looking at statistics, if the trend is kind of going up in an angle, in a positive angle, either like that, it could be going up just a little bit at a time. Okay, so like if there's the graph, okay, they could be going up and it could be going up really, really straight like that. Okay, so any of those situations, okay, would be what's called a positive correlation. Okay, if the graph was being plotted and it turns that it was going downward like that, then that would be a negative correlation. So what is the correlation between days and weight? Well, that would obviously be a positive correlation, okay, because the more days that pass, the greater the weight. Okay, it keeps going up in a positive direction. So it's a positive correlation. That's all we have to do for that. And then the next question is about how much did the puppy gain during this time period? Well, I guess what did we start out as? We started out with 4.5 pounds. Okay, and over the 25 days, we ended up at about 6 pounds. So we went from 4.5 to 6. So that's not too hard to do. 4.5 to 5.5 is just 1 pound. And then from 5.5 to 6 is another 0.5 pound. So how much did the puppy gain during this time period? 1.5 pounds. Okay, or you could put 1.5, whichever one you want to do. So there's the answer to both of those. There wasn't a whole lot of math. It's just kind of understanding what they're asking. Kind of like if you're looking at a map in social studies. Okay, it's all right there in front of you. You just have to understand what's being asked, and then you can get the answer. All right, so that's all for today, and I'll see you next time.